Hi, I'm Holly Henn. I'm the President and CEO of Critical Business Analysis. Today I'm here with Joe Castner from Oracle. I'm very excited about this conversation. It's going to be a good one.
Holly, thanks for having me on. I'm Joe Castner. I'm Vice President for our Global Ecosystems team here at Oracle in the Construction and Engineering Industry Unit. And I've been with Oracle now for 11 years. I was with Primavera, as some people know that name out there, prior to Oracle acquiring it.
Joe, you have over 30 years of experience in the engineering and technology business and working with Primavera and Oracle. Take us back to the beginning. What really drew you into technology initially?
30 years. That sounds like a long time, doesn't it? I never think I'd be saying that, certainly not back then. I actually got my interest in technology. I was 10 years old, and my parents got my brothers and I a computer for Christmas. And my brothers, they played games all day long, and finally, I'm the youngest, and they let me touch it pretty late at night. And they had this basic programming cartridge, and I stuck this in and got the book out and really got into programming at a very young age. And I mean, embarrassingly, would spend like 6 hours a day just learning, writing programs. I figured at that point I would be in technology forever. It really grabbed me.
Wow. When you were first learning how to program and you were at that young age, as you kind of grew through, let's say, high school and then into college, what were the different types of technology that started to get your attention?
Yeah, interestingly, in my age, like I wasn't into programming, but everybody started getting into this field. So when college came around, it just felt like a flooded field of programmers. And so I gravitated away from that. I initially went into engineering and then went into business and kind of got away from it a little bit. And when I graduated, it was a natural fit. There's actually an organization nearby in Cleveland, and it was pretty much a distributor for NCR technologies. And thought, hey, I've got the background. I certainly enjoy technology. And so I had this gap, and then I got back into technology there. And then through those connections, ended up at a company called Octopus Software, which was like high availability for Sun Microsystems, and then got acquired by then Veritas. And one of the people at Veritas had left and went to a company called Evolve. So he brought me over there, and then Evolve was acquired by Primavera. And so that's kind of how I made my way into then finally construction technology. It was all through acquisitions at that point.
I love that story because it just highlights the story of relationships and networking.
The last time I interviewed for a job was 1993, and really haven't since, only because I think if you go somewhere and you perform, you do a great job, and you build trust with people, when they move on to other organizations, they tend to want to bring the people that they trust can certainly get the job done. So that literally was the last time I was in just an interview process, like an official one where you're interviewing people you don't know, was 1993. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And I'm in the same boat. That doesn't seem that far away. Right? It seems way closer than what it actually is in time.
Yep, I agree.
So you're one of the few people that I've met through our partner network that came over into Oracle from Primavera and has stayed. Would you want to talk to me a little bit about what that transition was like and how the work environment is different in Oracle versus what it was in Primavera and your growth professionally in those two companies?
Yeah, Primavera was, and again, I got there through acquisition, but you got this sense, and you like a lot of our partners, customers, they were a part of kind of that Primavera family, even back in the early 2000s when I was with Primavera. But that's exactly what it was. It was kind of a close-knit group. We still run into people today. It's amazing that network that's out there that comes from that world. But oddly enough, I mean, Primavera, the development organization was about 200 people. I mean, it wasn't that large of a company yet. The influence that Primavera had in the construction world globally was immense. And I left Primavera before Oracle made the acquisition and then came back then under the Oracle umbrella after the acquisition. And I would say that it's still a close-knit group. I mean, there's still the same kind of people that were running Primavera at the time, pretty much are running the business units. And like you even look at Mike Cecilia, who was a leader at Primavera, is now co-CEO of Oracle. There's a bit of that culture that has come from Primavera, certainly into Oracle. What Oracle has brought, though, I mean, culture-wise, it's tough because a much larger organization, Oracle, than Primavera was. We're able to preserve some of that, which is great. But the resources that Oracle can bring to bear, like, no way would we have those resources back at Primavera. The things that you can now take advantage of technology-wise, I just don't know how we could do that if we weren't part of the Oracle family. It just brings an immense amount of resources and capability and reach that we would never have as Primavera.
Yeah, to me, working in construction and growing up in construction, seeing software really start to roll out, right? I started out on P3, so I took training through an Oracle teacher, or a Primavera teacher.
Mm-hmm.
To see the growth of the software usage within the construction industry is so expansive and explosive. It's really hard to explain, and yet there's still so many like little mom and pop construction companies that don't use it at all, right? Or they try to avoid using it. But yeah. Oracle has become the pace car. Oracle's out in front. Oracle is a brand name that everybody understands, whether you're talking about Aconex or scheduling software or anything. And looking at the growth of construction software, like Oracle has been the impetus and the driver to that because they are such a massive organization that has the resources to not just push their products, but I mean, they're pushing solutions, right? They're offering solutions into an industry that for a long, long time was very disjointed and didn't do well at communicating by the nature of the people in the business. And so I just think that's really interesting to kind of see that growth over time.
Yeah, we don't rest on it. So certainly we've had strong market share, but again, you can't rest in this business. I think I saw a number not too long ago, and it was like 5,000 construction technology companies that exist out there. And it was in 2020, there were 1,000 new companies just built in that year alone. And because there's a lot of need out there, I think everybody realizes that the ability for digital technologies to enhance construction, absolutely there's opportunity there. And we're starting to see more of an adoption. You talked about some companies that aren't leveraging Oracle technologies today. I think we're starting to see that even change because in order to compete, you really have to make sure that you're leveraging kind of these digital capabilities that are out there. But I think where people do struggle, like if you have a construction technology startup, you are solving kind of a niche capability and need. And I'm sure the need is there. And so they go and they address that need. I think what companies are realizing is if everybody's making like 1,000 technology decisions across all of these kind of niche capabilities, and now you see the opportunity to leverage data, you're in a really difficult spot because those technologies aren't connected. And it'd be very difficult to connect all those technologies. And so I think people are kind of reconsidering how they are acquiring technology, and I think that's absolutely warranted. We're in a really good position, again, given, as you say, like our size, the resources that we can bring to bear, we can really provide a platform. There'll be other software, like we know we're not the only ones that somebody would leverage. We have to make sure, though, that we can get that data in a place that it can be leveraged. And so that's, to us, we see ourselves as the platform, not an end-to-end capability that doesn't require other software packages.
Looking at the past and seeing what's coming in the future, what about the technology makes you most excited? What do you see coming that you really getting excited about?
Yeah, I mean, no surprise here, without question, and it's not overhyped. I think the ability to leverage artificial intelligence going forward, we're only seeing just the cusp of it right now. I think in a couple of years' time, we're going to see that be the key technology and how people can differentiate, certainly in the market, and how clients can get a far more amount of efficiency and success in their projects. Man, we just sit down and we start to ideate kind of what the potentials are. It's exciting. It blows your mind sometimes, but it's exciting. And I don't think it's overhyped. I think AI is absolutely the focus today that everybody needs to have.
No, I don't think it's overhyped at all. What I see people talking about is, and I think this can be said about all things, it's evil and it's coming for your jobs, or it's going to be the best thing ever and it will help us as human beings scale and be more productive and move faster, which sometimes can be good and bad too in its own right. Where do you land on the use of AI. It's inevitable, but where do you land on what do you think it's going to bring to our lives?
Yeah, I land probably a little bit in the middle, probably somewhat like you are. I do think that there are some job functions that can absolutely be automated and can be performed. And it doesn't mean that that individual doesn't bring value. It's just we need to shift that value to other places. So I think you might see a little bit of that shift happen. But without question, I mean, the amount of data now that is created on a construction project, it's enormous. And yet we don't leverage really much of that data at all. I think FMI did a study and they were saying like 97% of the construction data created on a project just goes unused. And maybe it's for whatever particular use case it had, but that value could be used in other places and it just doesn't go used at all. You think about all the correlations you can start to draw that would really tell a project manager, hey, that material item that you need in order for the crews to do their work next week, it's not going to be here. And we would know before the supply chain company realized it probably themselves. You know that data is out there. It's how do you harness that data? So I think the ability to give information to human beings so that they can make better decisions, that's the true value. To automate and make decisions for people, I just don't see the applicability of that. I think it's really how do you empower people and how do you empower teams with data so that they can make better decisions. And that's what it's going to bring.
Yeah, I hope so. And I agree with you. Like working construction my whole life, it never made any sense to me why no one ever went back and looked at the records. Every now and again, you'd have an estimator who was doing a similar size job, maybe go pull a couple of financial statements, but nobody ever looked at the drawings. Nobody ever looked at the schedules. Nobody ever looked at the RFIs, right? And like AI is just going to be amazing at how it can look at and harness and correlate so much data so fast that people would never be able to do on their own. And that's the power I see coming for construction companies. And it's going to be a lead or get out of the way. You're on board and you're going to implement it or you're going to fall behind.
Yeah, agreed. And you're seeing technologies like computer vision that is allowing really just the capture of images on the job site that through analysis can determine what's the progress, because everybody's kind of fighting on the job site to demonstrate progress so that obviously then they can get paid. So it's a very important process. But the ability to have this other lens to progress, because right now it's a challenge, I think, for foremen and supervisors to be able to say, hey, we've gained this much progress on a particular activity. I see huge potential there in computer vision too, whether it's within interior buildings or it's overhead flights of drones that can really help determine what's the progress. And even, is it kind of to spec or not to spec? And we're seeing those technologies come out as well so that somebody that's pouring concrete isn't going to pour concrete in the wrong area. It's going to catch it soon enough just because of those images that are getting captured, and it's kind of checking that against, the BIM model. So yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It is. As the GVP of global ecosystems, what's a day in the life of Joe Castner look like?
Usually they're good days, so I'll start there. I'm fortunate. I have a really good team around me. There isn't that need to really manage closely what the team is doing. And so the opportunity, because there's so much shift happening right now in our industry, as you know, Holly, it's like if you can't pick your head up and look at what is happening out there and look at what our clients are challenged with, you'll just stay down a path that maybe doesn't make the most sense. So we really do try to kind of look up a little bit, make sure we're going the right direction. So we spend a good amount of time on strategy. And I have a great team that turns around and executes on that strategy. I think if you don't have that, it really makes the weeks tough because you're constantly shifting between strategy, execution. So I have a good team for that. There is a bit of internal work that's going on as well. So Oracle has, and we talked about this when we had AI World and we talked to the analysts about it. We are taking our organization and we're somewhat flattening the sales organization of Oracle. So what it used to be is that the ERP team only touched ERP and the HCM team just touched HCM. And so everybody kind of had their pillar. They knew it really, really well. But our clients were kind of dealing with a lot of different salespeople and sales teams, right? As they're kind of looking across doing more with Oracle. And so what we are doing now, we've flattened that out. So really we can have people that understand our customers really, really well and that can bring the capabilities of Oracle to that customer. So that means there's a lot of internal work, making sure that people are enabled and that we have the right strategies there so that we're not confusing clients, that we make sure that there is value there and how we're connecting our applications together. We spend a fair amount of time right now just doing that with inside of Oracle, which I think just the strategy, and it's a big shift, but it's one that we've had to do for a while. And I'm glad that we just said, let's go do it. There's some time internally in just getting those teams kind of up to speed on what it is to have construction and engineering software, because everybody builds. Holly, it could be financial institutions, it could be insurance companies, it could be pharmaceutical companies. They all have a vested interest in building too. So now you have these sales teams that can bring our capabilities to that customer base that maybe otherwise we wouldn't be doing. So amount of time internal, but definitely spend a good amount of time just looking at strategy and spend a lot of time working with our partners. I mean, that is how Oracle scales, is through our partnerships. And so we spend a fair amount of time working with organizations like yours to make sure that we are enabling you and ultimately helping to support Oracle's efforts.
Let's talk about partnerships for a little bit and just educate people. Every now and again, I run across somebody who doesn't really understand what it means to be a partner of Oracle. So I'll introduce myself, and we partner with Oracle. We sell their products and we help implement, but we also will work with Oracle on customer service issues or your maintenance issues. And we really are kind of a in-between, or we can be a liaison between a customer and Oracle. But that's not always necessary either. Customers can come straight to Oracle when they need products, when they need solutions. If you could just talk a little bit more about the partnership network and how Oracle views that and uses it.
Yeah, and the word that was coming to my mind when you think about that word was an enabler. We build the technologies, and it's not just about the technology, it's the processes by which you leverage software to govern those processes. And that's where our customers need a lot of help. We're focused on the technology, but really success comes from having the right processes in place and then leveraging that technology, again, as I said, for governance. Oracle does not focus on that aspect of it. And we need partners out there that are working closely with our clients, one from the implementation side. And then there's a whole adoption element that's so important to success. Like, we can't get people leveraging the system, and then you start to lose that adoption. And over time, you don't get as much value out of the data or the application. So really important that they are adopting the solution. But our partners you're close to that organization, make sure that that implementation is successful, near term, even long term. But we're not doing the process support like our partners can. So without partners, it's very difficult for our customers to consume this technology without that partner in place.
Thank you.